Welcome back everybody to the channel. It's me, Alejandro Mendoza, Ordinary Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back again for another video as we do our final recap of Letterboxd's March Around the World 2024 challenge. And today we're going to be looking at the films I watched from March 22nd until the 28th. As always, I hope this video finds you all well, happy, healthy, and in good spirits. I hope that you all have been enjoying the recaps. I've been enjoying making them. I've been enjoying doing this challenge, and I'm happy that it's finally come to an end as I've watched 30 films from 30 different countries. None of them are rewatches, and of course, you all have been able to catch up with these with my thoughts on them through all these recaps. If you're new here and you have not subscribed, make sure that you click the notification bell when you're done subscribing and leave a like on that video, please, as all that helps me out so much. And if you want to lend an extra helping hand, I do have a Patreon set up over at patreon.com/thenerdchicano, where you can get early access to videos just like the one you're watching right now, along with other cool stuff like video essays and other goodies that I have available over there. It is not mandatory, but it is appreciated, so if you want to help over there, you can. But if you can't, that's fine, as I appreciate anybody who watches the videos, anybody who leaves a like or subscribes to the channel. All of it is so helpful, and I really do appreciate all of you for being here and doing all this wonderful stuff for me. Now let's go ahead and look at these films that I watched during the last week of this awesome challenge that celebrates world cinema and international films. I started off the week on the 22nd with 3 films actually, and the first one is from Hungary from the year 2016, and it is from director Attila Till, and it is called Kills on Wheels. And the synopsis reads: two physically handicapped youngsters make friends with a paralyzed hitman and are commissioned by a local mafia boss. They have little to lose, although things are never as they first appear. The boundaries between fantasy and reality blur as the unlikely heroes stumble from one close encounter to the next, and we gain an unusual insight into their lives on the periphery of society. This is a recommendation from my mentor and past guest on the Cinema Condition, Keith Halk, who recommended this film, and because I hadn't watched anything from Hungary yet during this challenge, I decided to go ahead and do this one. And I have to say, this film was fantastic. I really liked this movie. I love the chemistry between our cast. I think they all work so well together, and I think the film has a lot to say about disability, has a lot to say about socioeconomic classes, and especially Hungarian society. I think the film is fantastically written, great shots, and I thought that the music they used was really good too, especially the soundtrack. I really enjoyed the music that they selected for the soundtrack, and found myself really interested in wanting to listen to those songs outside of the film. The film does have some moments where it does lose a little bit of steam, but it quickly picks it back up, and I have to say I really enjoyed it, and I really thought it was a great film, and another fantastic recommendation from Mr. Keith R. Halk. The other film I watched on the 22nd is from the United Kingdom, from the year 1989, from director Peter Greenaway, and it's called The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And the synopsis reads: the wife of an abusive criminal finds solace in the arms of a kind regular guest in her husband's restaurant. I of course had to include a film that was around the nature of the erotic and was a little sexy for this challenge, as you know what I like, guys, and I wanted to include something around that nature, so I decided to finally scratch the itch when it came to The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And I have to say, I thought this movie is beautifully crafted. Some of the best production design that I've ever seen, some incredible lighting, great shots, great music as well. The score is fantastic and to die for. I think that all of that is masterfully done. And I have to say, the film also carries this like feeling of a stage play rather than a film itself. But I still found myself really gravitating to the execution of the film. I just have to say that the pacing is kind of off here. You could have edited this film down and it would still be the impactful piece of art that it is. But I just found myself to really lose a lot of steam into that second act. But the third act is so worth the wait. It's just that second act really does bring down the pace. and it really starts to, slow that steam down a little bit. Still a great movie, and I thought it was well made, and I really had some fun with it. I just found myself to not be interested in that second act where things started to slow down a little bit too much. And finally, on the 22nd, I ended that day with a film from Czechoslovakia from the year 1969, and it is called The Cremator from director Huraj Herz, and the synopsis reads: Mr. Kofringal enjoys his job at a crematorium in Czechoslovakia in the late 1930s. He likes reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead and espouses the view that cremation relieves earthly suffering. This is a film that I was supposed to do for season 3 of the Cinema Condition, but it's not gonna happen anymore, so I decided I wanted to finally watch this movie as it really did interest me, plus it is in the Criterion Collection. And I have to say, I was really drawn to this odd little film from Czechoslovakia, but what I have to say, what was the best aspect of The Cremator is the editing. It creates this very scary atmosphere within the film, and it's very odd, it's very fly on the wall type of cinematography that really creates this eerie feeling when watching The Cremator. And you have a lot that's being said about the effects of fascism and the state of Czechoslovakia into the occupation by Nazi Germany. And I have to say, it was a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it, and I think that it was a really profound experience. And I'm really interested in checking out more Czech New Wave films from this era of filmmaking in the country. On the 23rd, I watched a film from France from the year 2012, and it is from legendary director Michael Haneke, and it is his film Amour, and the synopsis reads: Georges and Anne are in their 80s. They are cultivated, retired music teachers. Their daughter, who is also a musician, lives abroad with her family. One day, Anne has a stroke, and the couple's bond of love is severely tested. March 23rd was the first and the last time I will ever watch Amour. Amour is incredible. It is a masterpiece. It is the greatest film that Michael Haneke has ever made. It is probably one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, but it is also one of the most surreal films I've ever had to experience that felt a little bit too real. I thought that this film was incredibly crafted, amazingly performed, but the story really got to me, as I've seen this happen before with my grandfather. I watched dementia take my grandmother's life, and I watched a heart attack take my mother's life. And this film just struck a heavy chord with me, and it was really difficult to be able to sit with this movie afterwards and really go through the emotions and the feelings that this film gave me. I have to say, it is a masterpiece. It is perfect. It is an amazing movie, but I think that this was the first and the last time I will ever have to watch this movie ever again. On the 24th, I watched a film from Uruguay from the year 2001 from director Juan Pablo Rebella and Pablo Stuhl. It's called 25 Watts, and the synopsis reads: 24 hours in the life of 3 street youths in Montevideo. 3 teenage guys try to figure out what they're supposed to be doing with their lives in this drama from Uruguay that puts the emphasis on character over narrative. I was not the biggest fan of 25 Watts. Now, I really respect this movie. What it tries to do here is something that a lot of movies try to do, and not a lot of them can do it well. There are films that do it amazingly well, like Michael Kozovit's La Haine, which I think does an incredible job trying to look at a certain amount of time, but I think this movie just crumbles beneath its ambition. I think that there's a lot going on here that can be definitely dissected, and there is a lot there, but I just couldn't grasp to it because the execution was just not the best. I think that the film has a lot that it wants to say, but these characters just don't say it, and I don't think these characters are interesting enough. Nonetheless, I think they do a good job at capturing just the ragtag nature of the film, as it's very low budget, it's a very rough film, and it definitely knows how to build its atmosphere. I just don't think I was able to grasp onto what it's trying to say like others have. On the 25th, I watched a film from Thailand from the year 2004, and it is from director Apichatpong Wirsatkul, and it is called Tropical Malady, and the synopsis reads, the passionate relationship between two men with unusual consequences. The film is divided in two parts. The first half charts the modest attraction between two men in the sunny, relaxing countryside, and the second half charts the confusion and terror of an unknown menace lurking deep within the jungle's shadows. This is the first film I've ever watched from this director, and I have to say I already am really hooked into his filmography. The way that Tropical Malady is broken up into two parts, but seemingly carries the same theme and the same feeling into it, is just beautiful. I think he does an incredible job here with the performances, the cinematography, the sound design, and really just building the atmosphere of Tropical Malady with all of these aspects. I think it's an incredible movie. I think that this beautiful story about desire and about love carries its weight fully into the whole narrative that is just hard to let go of. I had such a great time with this movie. I think that I'm going to go ahead and get into more of his movies, and I hope that they carry this feeling that I got from this movie, and this is definitely one of my favorite films of this challenge. On the 26th, I watched a film from Brazil, and it is from the year 1998 from director Walter Saez, and it is called Central Station, and the synopsis reads, an emotive journey of a former school teacher who writes letters for illiterate people and a young boy whose mother has just died as they search for the father he never knew. This is one of the best films of the challenge and one of my favorite films of all time. This is an incredible movie with a very moving story about a boy who is searching for his father and a woman who is searching for another chance at the wrongs that she's been doing ever since she's left her teaching profession, and especially dissecting the relationship she had with her father. I just found myself to be so moved by Central Station, and I loved every moment I spent watching this movie. It's so beautifully crafted with such warm lighting and warm cinematography, and I think the music is really good. And another film that has just a fantastic soundtrack. It has some great songs included in there that I really enjoyed, and it has so much to say about Brazil, religion in Brazil, and the socioeconomic status of Brazilian society, that it just packed it into this beautiful road movie that just left my heart so warm, and I found myself having the same feeling I had, well, to an extent, that I got from Cinema Paradiso. On the 27th, I watched a film from Bolivia from director Kiro Russo from the year 2021, and it is called The Great Movement, and the synopsis reads, a symphony of the city and the heights, the illness of a worker, the nightmare, and his redemption. This is another one of those movies that I probably shouldn't have selected for this challenge. It is experimental, to say the least, but I was still drawn to the way that this movie is shot. There's also a fantastic dance number thrown in there that really caught my attention, and I was very drawn to the indigenous representation within this movie, which I feel carries a very big weight within Bolivian society and Bolivian films that I've noticed from the other Bolivian movies I've watched, and I really enjoyed that, but I just couldn't get into this movie, and it just really didn't do a lot for me. So I want to rescreen this, and I want to revisit this, and hopefully have a bigger appreciation for it, and have a more understanding of what the Great Movement tried to say. But nonetheless, I think that it's crafted well. It's just hard for me to grasp onto what it's trying to say, and therefore my experience with it was just not the best. And finally, I concluded the challenge on the 28th with a film from Italy from the year 1952 from director Vittorio De Sica, and it is called Umberto D, and the synopsis reads, when elderly pensioner Umberto Domenico Ferrari returns to his boarding house from a protest calling for a hike in old age pensions, his landlady demands her 15,000 lire rent by the end of the month, or he and his small dog will be turned out onto the street. Unable to get the money in time, Umberto fakes his illness to get sent to a hospital, giving his beloved dog to the landlady's pregnant and abandoned maid for temporary safekeeping. This was an incredible film and another one of my favorite movies of this challenge. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint because we do have a ranking at the end of this conversation here. This is a perfect score to me. This is another masterpiece from Vittorio De Sica, like Bicycle Thieves is to me. I thought this movie was masterfully crafted. This has a non-actor in this film who is giving one of the most beautiful performances I have ever seen on screen. Vittorio De Sica manages to get this beautiful performance like he gets it out of his main protagonist in Bicycle Thieves, and he does it in Umberto D. This film has a lot to say about post-war Italian society, and especially the way that citizens started to turn their backs on citizens, and the way the community started to crumble because of the effects of fascism throughout Mussolini's time. This movie was just beautifully made. It has such an amazing story, and I just found myself just gravitated to all of it, and I just was so amazed by this movie. And I love the score. Once again, another great score in a Vittorio De Sica movie. And I find it to be one of the best neorealist films that was ever created. It is a beautiful movie. It was very moving. And I don't know, guys. There's something about his endings that just get me and emotionally make me choke up, that it happened again with Umberto D. This is an amazing film. It is perfect. And it is a masterpiece if I've ever seen one before in my life. That's it for all the movies for this challenge, y'all. That is all 30 films from all 30 different countries that I watched. None of them are rewatches, and I had a great time with them. In the description below, I'm going to link my list on Letterboxd and Lisa's Letterboxd list along with the rules in case y'all want to try to do this challenge in the 2 days that are left, or the 1 day. I'm not too sure how many days are going to be left. All I know is that it's going to be a lot of movies to watch, but you guys can go ahead and try. It would be definitely interesting to see that happen. But now I'm going to go ahead and give you my top 10 of the challenge that I watched. At number 10, we have Millennium Mambo. At number 9, we have Tropical Malady. At number 8, we have Utoya July 22. At number 7, we have Embrace of the Serpent. At number 6, we have The Virgin Spring. At number 5, we have Central Station. At number 4, we have Maria Candelaria. At number 3, we have About Ellie. At number 2, we have Umberto D. And at number 1, we have Amour. Those are the 10 best films I watched during this challenge. Like I said, I'm going to link my list if you want to see the full complete ranking. But with that being said, y'all, I thank you all so much for joining me throughout this amazing challenge. I'm going to be going back to my physical media reviews and my physical media content after this. I wanted to change it up. I wanted to give you all some different content for now, but I'm going to be going back to my bread and butter with these next videos. And of course, if you want to keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at the Chicano on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Letterboxd, Serialize, TikTok, and of course here on YouTube. I would love to have a conversation with you all, and I would love to discuss movies with you all, so let's go ahead and interact with each other. Keep up to date with my podcast called The Nerdcore by checking us out at The Nerdcore on YouTube, Twitch, and on Kick. We're the same handle on all of those, and of course you can go ahead and interact with us in there, and please go ahead and check us out because we could use your viewership. But for now, to all my cinephiles and renowned scholars, celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all in the next one, guys. Bye bye.